Okay.
Howdy, y'all.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Well, here we are. We're in an undisclosed location outside the headquarters this time, recording again in this wonderful office. So we're going to jump right into it. Got some stuff to get to.
Oh, by the way, it's Justin and Darrell.
Oh, apparently we're not jumping right into it. We're going to introduce
Well, in case you didn't know who we were.
Yep, I'm Steve Novak, and this is Jeremy Lynn.
There are some first-time listeners. You never know. Okay.
All right. So anyway, we did some reviews this week because that is what we do. So Mermaider, you did a review. Mermaider didn't do a review. I mean, Justin did a review.
Yeah.
You did a review for that new Freedom Call CD.
I did.
So why don't you talk about it for a minute?
Yes.
I'm counting.
Freedom Call. They just came out with their new album called Land of the Crimson Dawn. And,
not to be confused with the Echo Terra album, Land of the Midnight Sun.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, I love the album. I think it's amazing. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. You're looking for some good power metal. I think that this is it right here. The first 4 tracks on the album had me hooked. Completely hooked the first time I heard them, to where I didn't even listen to the rest of the album at first. I just kept going right back to track 1, which I know you've had that experience with other albums before.
Absolutely.
Where you just love the first couple tracks, you can't get over it. So I would suggest definitely getting into this one. Their lyrics are a little goofy. They are definitely like just kind of having fun here.
They're German.
Yeah. They kind of remind me of Ed Guy, like especially like Ed Guy's newer stuff, and they're definitely goofing around. But I liked it. The solos were awesome. A lot of double bass pedaling throughout the track, so it was good.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say I didn't like it. We have this whole thing, and I mentioned it when I posted the review, or when I posted on Facebook about it and whatever, that they're the albums we like and then the ones we don't shut up about. And seriously, he didn't shut up for like a week about this album. He still hasn't shut up, to be honest. So he played it, and I just couldn't get into it. Something about it. The music wasn't bad, but the vocals and the lyrics kind of kept me a little off balance, and just not really a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad, but it is what it is.
I'm gonna force you to listen to it.
Yep, I'm sure, and I'm sure I'll listen to it a couple more times, and I'll probably like it more than I did. But I can see the goofy side of it, the Ed Guy comparison too. So.
But moving on. Now, you did a review for a band called Et Moriemur.
Yeah, you can say that right. That's fine. They are from Prague in the Czech Republic, and this is I don't want to call them a death doom band because they're not really death and doom at the same time. It's like each song kind of walks a fine line. Some of the songs are like straight traditional doom. Some songs are death doom. Some songs are a little more to the death side. But the entire album, is called Cupio Dissolvi, and the entire album is true stories of suicide, which is really depressing. But the lyrics are also delivered in 6 languages, which makes it even crazier. I mean, there's some Latin, there's French, there's English. It's absolutely insane. The vocals are great. I have nothing but good things to say about the vocal line. And I mean, when you think about traditional doom bands, there aren't really atmospheric keyboards involved all that often, and that's where this album separates itself. And I think that's what adds that other layer. The atmospheric keyboards. Sometimes there's like some eerie, like bells and xylophone type stuff folded in. I was really impressed with the album, and I think one thing I really wanted to mention was the fact that it's stories about suicide, which is a very emotional subject. And throughout the album, in the lyrics and the vocals, you can hear the lead singer is really affected by it. You can tell like his voice kind of quivers at times, and it's he's into what he's saying, and I think that's really cool. So the album is really good. You should definitely check that one out.
A lot of passion.
A lot of passion, and we don't get a lot of albums from the Czech Republic ever.
Yeah.
So that was a good listen. Now you, on the other hand, did an album by the band Xandria. The album Neverworld's End, their new one.
Yeah. What caught me first was the album cover. Reminded me of Nightwish, and a lot of it, when you listen to it, will remind you of bands like Nightwish and Epica. There's a female-fronted. They're a female-fronted band. They've been around for a while. I remember hearing about. I remember I had a couple tracks from some old album of theirs. I had some CD that had it was just like female-fronted vocal bands, or something like that, and it had it was like a compilation. And I remember Xandria was on there, and but anyways, this is their new album they just came out with this year, and the orchestration is awesome. The female vocalist, her name, I don't know really how to say her first name, but her last name is Crawler.
So basically, you have no idea how to say any of it? Where is
it? Moela. That sounds right. Moela. That's a beautiful name. So her name's Moela Crawler. And, man, I really killed it. But anyway,
yeah, we are so sorry.
She has gorgeous range with her voice. She has a very operatic voice, almost like Tarja reminds me of.
Really? That strong?
In the Tarja days, yeah. The song structure is genius, is really very detailed, changes all the time throughout the album. I would definitely say this is one album that you, Darrell, would love, especially since you've been a fan of bands like Epica and Nightwish.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of the band before?
I feel the same way you did. I feel like I've had stuff of theirs before, but I always, for some reason, I had the feeling that they were like Midnight Soul.
Okay, yeah. But, similar, but a lot better, I would say.
Yeah, no offense to Midnight Soul.
Yeah, the recording was a lot more clear. Her vocals fit perfect with everything, as opposed to, I feel like Midnight Soul, some of the vocals, the operatic side is not quite on key with.
It's like they were trying to force it in rather than.
Yeah, it didn't go with the instruments.
Well, I'm going to give this album a listen. I've kind of been looking forward to it. I saw it online the other day and kind of went like, oh, it's obviously something I should listen to.
Yeah, it's good. Now moving on, you did another band. You did another review.
Yeah, you keep accusing me of these things.
The band Valkiria.
Yep.
Right?
This was a band. They've been around for 15 years. Never heard of them before.
Yeah, me neither.
But they're from Italy. Surprise. And they're I in the review they kind of label themselves a gothic doom band, and I don't really know that I agree with that. But the album is called Here the Day Comes, and it's broken down in 7 tracks, which are parts of the day. So there's dawn, sunset, morning, afternoon, so on down the line until you get to night. And I think I really like the album, and I think that what really struck me about it was that each song fits the time of day that it's labeled. And each one is different from the one before it and the one after it. And it's really, you feel like you're progressing through some bigger arc, which I thought was really cool. The vocals are they're varied. There's some clean vocals, there's some deathly growls, and there's a lot of like black metal type screeching, and sometimes they're all layered together, which makes it really cool.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Now it's only a 2-piece band. There's only 2 dudes in the band. Valkis, who plays almost everything, and then Mike, who plays guitars. But this is their first album with a live drummer. They've never had a drummer before. So they got this guy, Giuseppe Orlando. He's from the band November, which is a band that I really like. I don't know if you've gotten around to listening to them. At one point they were kind of labeled to be like a Catatonia style band.
Not November's Doom.
No, just November. With a B-R-E instead of B-E-R, November. But they're really good, and their drummer played the drums on the album, and the drums are fantastic. I have nothing but great things to say about really the album itself, but mainly the drums and the vocals are great. The flow of the album is great, and they just signed a deal with an Italian label, so hopefully this album gets a little bit of play. I think think it'll be good. And both of these bands that I did reviews for this week have toured with or are touring with some like huge names. Et Moriemur toured with Hellevorn last year.
Oh, cool.
And this year they're touring with Ahab.
Oh, that's really cool.
So they're going to get noticed that way. Yeah, it's definitely the style. So.
And I feel like those bands are even they're still.
Yeah, they're still getting up there.
Yep. Yeah.
They're not quite that upper echelon of the genre yet, but they'll get there.
Yeah.
So it is that time of the month, that being the beginning, not that time of the month. I think I said that last time too. But we had a hard time picking a band of the month this month. It wasn't easy. We kind of
had a couple options.
We had a couple options, and we just kind of go, yep, that's our band of the month. And this month wasn't that easy.
There's a lot of good stuff this month.
Yep, a lot of good stuff, and there was a lot of good stuff in February that would have gotten the band of the month for March, and there's also a lot of great stuff coming in March.
Yeah,
I mean we have a lot of albums coming out.
Yeah,
so it was tough, but I think based on their new album and based on the past, we ended up with
Eluveitie. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce that. I had a couple people.
We didn't know how to pronounce it at first. We were calling them Eluveitie.
Yeah, Eluveitie. Yeah.
And then when we saw them live, everyone was chanting Eluveitie. So that was cool.
They are some great folk metal.
Really I would say that at this point they might be like kind of the top of the folk metal world.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of any band that has the popularity and the strength that they're putting out right now.
Yeah,
Now, you reviewed the new album.
Yeah.
And I've listened to most of it. I haven't gotten around to listening to the whole thing yet. But one thing that you had mentioned is that there's more female vocals on the new album.
Yeah, the new album, it's called Helvetios. And,
That's good. You put a little accent in there. Helvetios.
That's how I always talk. But yeah, they I mean, we're used to some of their older albums. It was strictly growling, and then little by little they introduced a little bit more female vocals. Even the female growling. There was a couple like screams I remember in the last album. And now this time they have full songs that are dedicated just for female vocals, whether it's singing or screaming, and there are other songs on here that have that mesh of male growling and female singing like on top of each other. That that Beauty and the Beast type of
which is good.
Yeah,
that's I think something that had always been lacking from their.
Yeah, so it really makes it a lot more diverse than what they were. They had so much potential, and now they're really using it and really giving the crowd everything that they can.
I feel like their first album when Slania came out.
So, yeah.
Remember, I ended up buying it because it had the person in armor on it. I went, oh, this has to be good.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but I feel like they get better every time.
Yeah.
And seeing them live, was a big impact on both of us, and I think that they're just going to keep getting better because also they're not just the band with a hurdy-gurdy now.
Right.
I feel like they've evolved past that.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a big thing for them, is to just be more than that. But I mean, really, think about folk metal now. They really are.
Yeah.
They really are.
No, yeah, definitely.
If you think a couple of years ago, I don't think I would have even mentioned them in the top 5. But right now, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge all over.
There's a song on there that I like to mention. It's called "A Rose for Ipana," and that's the one song that really stuck out for me that had the female vocals on it. And that one is mainly all female vocals. I think there's a couple heavier growls towards the end because they actually include like kind of a melodic breakdown at the end, towards the end of it. So it's like, let me get up and mosh, but at the same time, let me get up and dance, Yeah. And that's like this whole album is like that, It's very melodic and a lot of different instruments, unique instruments that they use. And then at the same time, monstrous guitars just come in and just destroy everything at the same time. So it's exciting. It's an exciting album.
They really do that so well. The whole I want to bang my head and mosh, but at the same time I want to do a little Celtic dancing.
Yeah. Well, you remember when we saw them live? That people, half the crowd was moshing, and half the crowd was dancing in like circles, like locked arms, and like dancing in circles. And
then I'm not a dancer. You're more of a dancer than I am. But even you want to do that. You want to be a part of that because
it's very jolly.
Yep, it's jolly, and they really draw you into the music. Even on the CDs, when I listen to the albums at home, there's that little bit of you that just kind of goes like, hey, I want to get up and dance.
And it's funny, the lead vocalist, the growler, it's so cool to see that like on the side he plays the flute.
Yeah.
And he makes it look so metal.
Yeah,
the way he plays it,
Yep.
Like how would you think to play a flute could look, like a heavy metal, on stage, and he really like rocks out as he plays it, and he plays it beautifully.
Well, they make everything look metal. They're playing like lutes and all this stuff, and the girl playing the hurdy-gurdy, she's not just standing there like playing it. She's like swinging her hair and rocking out, man. That's what makes them so good. And, they really just kind of redefine what folk can be.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely suggest getting this album. If you guys haven't heard it already, at least check it out.
Definitely check it out.
They are a band that they keep getting better and better every year.
Yep, and I think obviously we're gonna have to wait another probably 2 years for another album, but I imagine we'll get them. I think they actually just toured through America, if I'm not mistaken. They just opened for somebody.
Yeah,
and I think we've kind of missed out on it, but I'm sure they'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll have to catch them again because that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, that's pretty much it for this week's episode. We just wanted to kind of give you guys a little heads up on what's good, what's really hood. Yeah, because we're out of the headquarters, so we don't want to drag this on too long. Because the guy whose garage we're using right now doesn't know. Yeah.
And I mean, this isn't just an empty threat.
Yeah.
But he might come out and try to shoot us. As usual, do all the usual stuff with liking the shit and thumb up in the shit. And
thumb up in the shit.
Plus one in the shit.
Yeah.
So we're almost to 400 likes on Facebook, so make that happen, motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. And we'll be back next week with more shit to talk about. We're almost due for another blooper reel, so keep an eye out for that. Lots of interviews coming. We rule.
Oh, by the way, do you know what Bruce Lee's favorite beverage is?
No, I don't know. What is Bruce Lee's favorite beverage?
Water!